How much would I be
So
up? Did
much.
we figure out?
You would have been up by, well, at 8 points, what you have right now. I think it was
88
like 88.
to
You'd
73.
be
So I'd be
up
up
by like
15 right now.
15 points.
If
15, and you
Graham
missed
Gano
it.
had just hit a fucking field goal, I'd be up 15 points. If he was against the Giants, he would have fucking made it. That's what pisses me off.
I love how they brought that stat. Like, I think it was
Yeah,
like, because
that his career long was against the Giants when it was Carolina. I remember that kick too. What is going on, guys? Knicks picks week 14 of the NFL season, and I am joined, as I am always, by Ben. Ben, it is week 14 of the NFL season, and you had a little bit of a comeback going until last week, and I almost pulled away by a lot more than I did, but it's only a 7-point lead when it could be a 15-point lead. Obviously, we'll get into all that in a little bit, but it's week 14 of the NFL season. How you doing?
Well, Atlanta, I wouldn't say they blew it. I'll get more to them, obviously, since they're on a bye week. But I was like, I saw like, oh, they have a chance to win, and they were like at like their own 20 with like no timeouts with like 30 seconds. Like, you know what? Never mind. Just got out of that. I did watch on my phone the like Gamecast, the play to see for Denver and Baltimore because of my wager. And I did actually see apparently he was just short. Kept my wager at least. Didn't get 0 points.
Speaking of field goals, just short. Well, without much more talking about it, let's just get right into the Week 13 recap. Find out how our current score of Knicks picks is 80 to 73, a 7-point lead after it was only a 4-point lead last week. I gained 3 more points on them. I scored 9 last week. Ben only scored 6. Let's get into that. Week 13 recap. It started with the Thursday night game, the Buffalo Bills going up against the New England Patriots, and the Bills managed to win this one 24 to 10. As expected, it was one of my picks. I think it was my give one pick. Stop giving me the Bills. Move on to the Sunday games, and alright, I just want to get this out of the way before I mention like anything else about this game. Obviously, the Giants and the Commanders tied. Obviously, I'm not all that happy about it. I would actually be less upset if the Giants lost this game. The NFL needs to fix this fucking tie rule. Ties are so goddamn stupid in the NFL. This is the only professional sport that doesn't have a winner at the end of every regular season game. Technically, hockey has like their own little like third thing, but they still have a shootout to figure out like a winner. But yeah, the Giants ended up tying with the Commanders on a field goal that was just short. Not really. It was a good bit short by Graham Gano, and it leads into some interesting stuff in the NFC moving on between the Commanders, the Giants, and the Seattle Seahawks. Like Ben said earlier, the Pittsburgh Steelers did manage to beat the Atlanta Falcons 19 to 16. Atlanta had their chance to take the lead in the AFC or NFC South.
No, they didn't.
But
no, they didn't.
The Bucks barely beat the Saints. No matter how bad Aaron Rodgers is doing during the season, and even though we didn't think that he was even playing in this game, he ended up playing, and he still owns the Chicago Bears as they go on to win this game 28-19 over Chicago. It's just, it is what it is. Chicago, I swear to God, I thought they were decent. Justin Fields is the only good player on this fucking team, apparently. Jacksonville's another one of those teams that, like, I swear to God, every couple weeks they play, like, really well, and then they lose 40-14 to the fucking Lions. Like, I don't understand this NFL. At least some bit of normalcy. The Vikings went on to beat the New York Jets 27-22. Mike White is not currently the leading Jets touchdown passer, so I didn't get my 2-point conversion there, but he's still the best quarterback on this team between Joe Flacco and Zach Wilson, so that doesn't say a lot. But still, the Eagles went on to beat the Tennessee Titans 35-10. Fuck Philadelphia. I don't even want to pick this game. I really don't against the Giants, but we'll get to that later too. Like Ben said, he got his wager pick right. The Baltimore Ravens narrowly squeaked one out against the Denver Broncos. Part of the reason that they narrowly squeaked this one out is Lamar Jackson was injured during the game and ruled out for the rest of the game. Don't know the extent to the injury. Don't know if he's going to be playing this week, and we both stayed well away from Ravens games this week, because we don't want to take that chance. Quite scary for the Baltimore Ravens if they are without Lamar Jackson for the rest of the season, because the Cincinnati Bengals are definitely on their own tear.
I think he's out for 3 weeks.
Mr. Happy Endings gets his happy ending as they finish the Houston Texans 27-14.
It wasn't even because of him.
It wasn't. It really wasn't. They had like 3 non-offensive touchdowns to start the game. And I'm pretty sure it was their only 3 touchdowns of the game. The Seattle Seahawks went on to beat the Los Angeles Rams 27-23. I didn't expect the Rams to win this game, but kind of hoped they would. I need people to start beating Seattle because if the Giants are going to start sucking, we need Seattle to start sucking. I wish you would challenge this one, Ben. You said you were thinking about it. You said the Dolphins had a chance in this one. 33-17, even without Garoppolo for the majority of this game. The 49ers go on to beat the Miami Dolphins. They are going to be without Garoppolo for a little bit, but don't worry, they got Purdy.
I want you to know, actually, if I challenge that and they got the field goal, that's like 14 points. I do that math in my head quickly.
Wow, I would have
just
walked away with this. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals move on to 3-0 against the Kansas City Chiefs in Joe Burrow's time in Cincinnati with a 27-24 victory over Kansas City. That could be scary if Kansas City runs into Cincinnati in the playoffs. Apparently, they just have a problem beating Cincy.
That's insane to me. I think they're the only team.
The Raiders are another one of those teams where, like, do they suck or they just have these random games where they're beating teams that they shouldn't. The Chargers, another one of those teams where they're good and they're losing teams that they shouldn't. They lose this one 27-20 against the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, it just hurting their playoff chances even more because the wild card in the AFC is just as, even actually more competitive than the NFC right now. The Dallas Cowboys were up 21-19 at the start of the fourth quarter against the Indianapolis Colts. The final score of this game was 54-19. The Cowboys went on a 33-0 run in the fourth quarter. Why does the whole NFC East have to be good when the Giants have a good season? And to finish out Week 13, the Monday night game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a last minute touchdown by Tom Brady going to beat the New Orleans Saints, the team that he has the most trouble beating, 17-16. And that rounds out our Week 13 recap, which brings our score to 80-73. Ben, Week 13 was, kind of an up and down one. A lot of upsets, kind of, if you want to think about it that way. But, most of the upsets were just games that really didn't matter. But also some injuries this week. So what's your biggest takeaway of Week 13?
I think mine is just really the Lamar Jackson injury. Because like you said, I think the Ravens right now are tied with the Bengals, and they have the tiebreaker over them because I think they beat the Bengals. So having Lamar out for, I think it's 3 to 4 weeks, or at least probably the regular season, I would probably sit him down for the regular season unless you don't think you can make the playoffs without potentially him being in there, but I don't think you should risk it because you're not going to get the 1 seed. Division is up in the air, I guess, but having him down for multiple weeks is really going to suck. I don't even know who their backup is.
So let's move right into our Week 14 picks, and we start with the game of the week. We had a few decent games this week. Last week we were spoiled. We had a lot of decent games to go through. This week, not so much, but still some playoff implication games going down and a lot of playoff implications left because there's a lot of teams that are just kind of neck and neck because the whole NFL is just kind of meh this year besides the couple top teams like the Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, and Cowboys, I guess. My game of the week is between the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and here is your chance to use your last challenge, Ben, because I understand that the San Francisco 49ers have a very talented roster, but your quarterback is Brock Purdy, or Brent Purdy, or Brett Purdy, or it is Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy.
It is Brock. Mr. Irrelevant.
And he's really going to beat Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this is the time of the year where Tom Brady needs these couple wins just to solidify his playoff spot. I'm not saying that he's going to get himself to the Super Bowl this year. he might. But he's got to pull away from the Atlanta Falcons because that's just a train wreck. It's bound to happen at some point. And look, the San Francisco 49ers, they are going to hurt without I'm not saying Jimmy Garoppolo is the answer for San Francisco by any means. But when you have a brand new quarterback in there, somebody who has not taken first starter, that's what I'm trying to say. Somebody who has not taken starter reps in practice at all in the last career. I just don't see him performing all that well. And I know you have Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, but you got to be able to get him the ball. Christian McCaffrey can only do so much. And I am actually going to go with the upset here of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning this game 17-16 over the San Francisco 49ers. I gained a little bit of a lead, so I'm taking this so that if you're going to go ahead and take this challenge, Ben, I have the cushion. Plus, you don't have a game this week with the Falcons, so it's kind of...
That's the only reason why I'm not. Plus, it's hard to challenge that because like I believe in everyone else on that roster and I believe in their defense. If I had one game, like he did fine against Miami. If I had one game where he actually started and like the other team game planned for him specifically and he won, I'd be a little more confident in a challenge, but gonna keep it in my back pocket just for now. All right, and my game of the week is an AFC showdown between the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Chargers at LA. So in other words, at a neutral field. If this was in Miami, I'd probably have them winning by a lot more. But I do think the Dolphins will bounce back against the Chargers. I think the Chargers are arguably a more talented team, but they just have a lot of things just not working for them, like in a weird way. Played to the level of their competition, or they just shit the bed completely like they did against the Raiders. So I have the Dolphins winning this game 30-23 over the Chargers, mainly because I think Tua can bounce back against the Chargers. 30-23 Miami. You ready for this week? I think you got a good chance, all right? You're playing
38-20. Fuck the Eagles.
But don't you... No confidence at all.
Fuck Philadelphia. Fuck you too, by the way.
All right, well, since Nick won't mention it, the reason why I don't have a pick is because Atlanta's on a bye week. I'm just going to let him sulk over there. Honestly, I got nothing else to say. Apparently, Ritter is potentially going to be starting against the New Orleans Saints, so yay. I don't really have anything else to say to that outside of maybe it'll look decent.
We move on to the picks that we give each other. Ben once again gives me the Buffalo Bills as if like I don't talk about them enough myself. You have to give them to me. I tried to avoid them this week, actually. I tried to not pick them this week as my game of the week because it's a solid game against the New York Jets. But then you're like, no, I'm giving you the Bills and the Jets. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I gave you the Patriots going up against the Cardinals because I think there's a chance that the Cardinals can win that game and ruin your pick because I know you're picking the Patriots. But
no, you don't. No, you don't actually think that.
I can be hopeful. So I do have the Buffalo Bills going up against the New York Jets, and I really don't see too much of a chance that the Jets win this game. I know that they beat the Buffalo Bills earlier on in the season. It mainly had to do with the Jets defense. They just absolutely obliterated the Bills offense, completely snuffed them to not a whole lot. I don't think that happens this time. Plus, the Jets offense is going to have a little bit of trouble themselves keeping up with whatever the Bills are able to do. So I do think if the Bills can get themselves over 20 points in this game, they should be okay. And I do have them winning this game 27-17 over the New York Jets.
And like Nick said, I am talking about the Patriots going against the Cardinals. And while Call of Duty is still out, so I'm not picking the Cardinals to win this game. I don't care if it's home. I don't care if it's actually in a game playing Call of Duty, because I don't think the Cardinals can do that either. I have the Pats winning this one closer than probably it should be, but that's only because I think the Patriots' offense isn't that great, but their defense is decent. I had the Patriots winning this one 24-21 over Arizona in Arizona, but I don't even think Kyler Murray played recently.
That would, no matter what happens with the Jets game, and assuming that I think even no matter what happens with the Dolphins game, I think as long as the Patriots win, all the AFC East teams will be above 500 again. The NFC East is already going to be above 500 no matter what happens this weekend. Because Washington's on a bye week. If the Giants lose, they're still above 500. Obviously, if Philly loses, they're above 500. And if Dallas loses, they're above 500. And we move on to the wager picks. I am going with the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Denver Broncos. In my opinion, right now, I know the Kansas City Chiefs just lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, but it'd be hard for me to believe that the other teams that I believe are the best teams in the league, like I said earlier, I think the Chiefs are better than all three of those teams at this current moment, even with that loss to Cincinnati. And they go up against the Denver Broncos, who have had trouble scoring over 10 points this season. So it can be in Denver. It can be on the moon. It really doesn't fucking matter. The Chiefs are winning this game 32-9 over the Denver Broncos. I probably should have done this for my 2-point and just said that the Broncos aren't going to score more than 10 points because nothing to do with the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense is not great by any means, but the Broncos offense is probably one of the worst I've ever seen.
Before I say my wager, remind me, Nick, the Cowboys won like 50 something, like 20 over the Colts, right?
Yeah, 54-19.
All right, yeah, my wager is the Cowboys are beating the Texans 42-10, and that's all I'm gonna say at that point. I don't care where this game's played.
I
It's
the
they're going
cupcake
to murder
schedule
two
makes it
AFC
look
South teams.
a little inflated, but like I don't know. So we finish out Nick's picks week 14 with the 2-point conversions. Now earlier today as of like when we're recording this, so Tuesday, Baker Mayfield, after being released just a couple of days prior, has been claimed off wagers by the Los Angeles Rams, who are currently without Matt Stafford for the rest of the season. So it was pretty much between the Rams and the 49ers as to who was going to get Baker Mayfield or who is going to be cursed with Baker Mayfield, as I'm going to be putting this. I think that the curse of Baker Mayfield going to the Los Angeles Rams, it is just absolutely going to blow up in their face. They go up against the Raiders, who are on their own little hot streak going forward in this season. So I have that the Baker Mayfield-led Los Angeles Rams offense, I mean, even if it's not Baker Mayfield, whoever the quarterback is for the Rams going into this game, they're not having more than 200 yards of total offense in this game against the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the Raiders win this game fairly easily, and I would also like to point out that if it is Baker Mayfield, I think he's going to throw like multiple interceptions, probably like 3 or 4. I'm not making it part of my 2-point just because like I don't want to risk like them not starting him, but yeah, the Rams are having less than 200 yards of total offense, with or without Baker.
All right, so my 2-point has to do with the Detroit Lions going against the Minnesota Vikings. And even though Detroit is 5-7 and the Vikings, I think, are 10-2, the Lions are favored in this game by 2.5 points. Don't know why. You can look it up. But that does play into my 2-point. I don't care how many yards I throw. Yeah, exactly. I don't understand why. I think it's because they're home, but it doesn't matter. Don't know why Detroit's favored. I think Detroit will own up to that, but I'll give them a little bit more cushion because I do think the Vikings are better. I think win or lose, the Lions will be within 5 points of the Minnesota Vikings. So if it's like 25-20, perfect. If they tie, which I can't stand ties, I don't get my 2-point. I don't care who wins. I'm hoping it's the Vikings, mainly because it bumps their expectations up. But I think the Lions will stay within 5 points. And I'm more confident in that because the Jets stayed within, like, I think 4 or 5 points of them. And the Vikings should have ran away with that game.
All right, so that is it for Nick's Picks Week 14. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Another place you need to go follow us is over on Twitch. I am live over on Twitch Mondays and Fridays at 6:30, Saturdays and Sundays around noon, and we are live back on YouTube here on, at 5 o'clock every Tuesday. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. Hop in the chat and chat along with us because, I mean, it gets a little lonely over there by myself sometimes. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the current score of Nick's Picks is 80-73, the score that will decide the bet for the Super Bowl special. Whoever will have to eat the hot food going into the Super Bowl special and answer some Super Bowl trivia questions. Will it be Ben for a third time in a row, or will I have to endure my first punishment in the Super Bowl special? I guess we'll have to figure it out. But I hope you guys enjoy because Nick's Picks will be back next week, next Thursday. Nick's Picks week 15 will drop. We're getting closer to Christmas, and I keep forgetting to decorate this fucking room. But eventually I'll have some Christmas stuff up here as we get closer and closer to the Christmas Day games. But Ben, week 14 of the NFL season is upon us. But is there anything you want to say before we head out?
Don't know if I feel comfortable or not if Ritter or Mariota starts for Atlanta next week against New Orleans. I feel kind of neutral on it. I feel kind of
Don't you want to lose? Like, isn't that your kind of goal here?
That's the thing, because I feel like if it's Mariota or Ritter, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. So I just kind of feel like, I don't fucking know, dude. Put Patterson back there for all I care.
So that is it for Nick's Picks Week 14, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great one. Peace. And I am not expecting anything out of you anymore.
The trust is just gone, apparently.
Yeah, fuck you.
But like, this is like a moment where
fuck.
Like we can just talk out our feelings or whatever. But like, you're just an emotional piece of shit. Oh, bye guys.